Let's go watch it in 2D. No, let's go watch it in 3D. But if we watch it in 3D, then is it worth the cost?
Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. Warning, this podcast contains spoilers.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
This podcast is brought to you by 3D Wiggle. With 3D Wiggle software, you can impress your family and friends with 3D gifts and videos. To find out more information, please click on the link in the description for 20% off coupon as well. This podcast is also brought to you by Patreon. With Patreon, you can become a patron and get this podcast commercial free and get many more benefits. Please click on the description again to get more information. Now, back to the show. All right, welcome to part 2. So, the program we use only allows for 2 hours, so we had to split it up. But you should be pretty good with where we're starting from here. But try to select a good time where we kind of start a new conversation. But if you haven't listened to part 1, it will be a link in the info box below. But they will be posted immediately after one another, so that way it's easy for you to see part 1 and part 2 together. So hope you enjoy the rest of this podcast. Now back to the show.
And now we're going to go back to the other shows that were released.
Then we go into Netflix's The Luke Cage TV show.
No, we have to go through Daredevil Season 2 first, and then we'll go to Luke Cage.
All right.
Daredevil. I think Daredevil Season 2 is still pretty solid. I don't think it's got as good as Villains. I think that, these ninjas or whatever. The hand, yeah. Ugh. The ninjas, they're not as good as Villains as Fisk. But I do like Punisher, and I do like Elektra. I like both of them.
I don't like Elektra. It doesn't do anything for me.
Well, I think that they, as far as a show adaptation, she's pretty okay. As far as from the comics to, you gotta look at the source material,
Yeah.
I think for the source material to the show, I think she's fine. She's not an amazing character or whatever. But it makes sense why her and Daredevil have a history, and she's even briefly mentioned in the first season. So it's not like they never planned for her to be in the show. So in a lot of regards, I think while the second season is more messy and not as good as the first season, I think it's still pretty solid.
Yeah, I agree with you. Jake, what do you thought?
I was never a big Punisher fan of the comics, but I was just blown away by the Punisher in this. So that's one of the reasons I just rate it so high. I mean, to me, it's just slightly better than season 1, simply because to me, the season 1 kind of dragged a little bit in places. But this, to me, just kind of moved. Because we got all the costumes, we got all that out of the way. We're just going to go. And it was sloppy.
Another benefit to having Punisher in this show is because this is his introduction. You don't need to start. When we get to it, the show, you don't really need to have this Punisher origin story. You don't really need that because he already had an introduction here. So, I like the actor. I like the fact that at the very end he gets the skull shirt. I thought that was cool. So yeah, I think that Daredevil season 2 is pretty good.
Now, I think Matt Murdock and Daredevil, who's more of a jerk in this season.
Yeah.
It really annoyed me how mean he was to Foggy and Karen. I know that's his character, but it was just come on, you're being an ass. Come on.
Yeah. But I think that's more of a criticism of just
the character, because
the comics are like that. The comics are nothing ever happens good for him. It's kind of like that in the comic book too. So yeah, it doesn't end that well, and they're not on the best of terms, but I still think that for the most part, it was certainly very entertaining. It wasn't a slog, so
Unlike Luke Cage.
Yes, getting to Luke Cage.
Oh man, I think James and I really hate this show. Jake, what are your thoughts on this before we get into it?
God, it's like
so slow.
It is tedious, it is monotonous, and it's like 2 shows, and I was like, please, I'm tired. I am tired.
It shifts from like the most boring. It like cuts to like it starts off with like this boring like gang drama for like 7 episodes, and then it turns into an absolute cheese fest when the frickin' Luke Cage's brother with the frickin' armor suit or what Diamondback, yeah, like
Cottonmouth was a solid villain, solid guy.
Yeah.
I like him, but Diamondback was terrible.
But he has the hammer suit. I mean, one thing that I find funny about this, like, not only is it bad and like cheesy, but it's also resurrecting something from Iron Man 2.
What is that?
Hammer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the company he gets his, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and they have make a big deal in Luke Cage about the music and being authentic to Harlem. I just don't care. It's like, okay, good music, but this is boring. And yes, it's bulletproof. Why do you keep shooting him? Oh my God, are you gonna keep shooting him? It's not interesting to watch. And you do get an episode where you learn his powers and how he got it. That was really good. I just didn't care for this at all. I thought it felt like 50 season episodes, and it just took forever to go anywhere. So I hate.
Yeah,
it took me 2 weeks to watch this.
Now, I actually liked Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, so it's kind of sad.
Awesome in the first season, Jessica Jones.
So,
and I missed an opportunity having Jessica Jones. I mean, that was dumb. They should have had her in.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's go back to the movies and go to Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which we did review. And it's more of the same, except now, Star-Lord's dad is a planet, and it is disappointing. It's good, but it's disappointing. Jake, what do you think of this?
Really good 3D, especially there's the slow-mo bridge scene. That's absolutely breathtaking. I liked it, but then again, I'm a James Gunn fanboy. I've seen all of his movies, so maybe I'm a little prejudiced. So I'll freely admit that. I mean, I enjoyed this a lot. Really like the whole thing with Gamora and Nebula. And of course, Booker is one of those guys. John Bean are really good at certain type of scenes, which I don't want to really spoil for people. But if you are familiar with both of these actors, you know what I'm talking about. It'll like just choke you up every time, no matter how many times you see it.
All right, James, what are your thoughts on Guardians 2?
I mean, it was okay, but I don't know. Was it my favorite? It had a lot of, I don't know. It was like a standalone movie in a lot of regards.
And during this time, they did try to break off Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. into Most Wanted and 2 of the main characters. But that didn't actually happen, and it's actually for the better, because I like those characters, Mockingbird and her husband, but I don't need a whole show of that.
And they never appeared again.
they have, they introduced...
It's like they were supposed to be in a specific...
And we get Luke Cage on Netflix, and I don't hate it like everyone else does. I think it's okay. I do think Luke Cage, not Luke Cage, Iron Fist. I think Iron Fist as a character is kind of one-dimensional, and he is whiny. He's like, "Oh,
yeah.
I'm the immortal Iron Fist." Like, yes, you said that 1,000 times already.
Yeah.
And I can't stand that. I'm pretty tired of them at this point in this show too, and it's just mediocre. Jake, what's your thoughts on Iron Fist?
I would rather have dental surgery than see Iron Fist again. It took me more than a month to get through this season. I couldn't even watch the entire episode.
Well, okay, you know the quality of a series and how fast it is to watch. You know, like Daredevil season 1 or 2, and like Jessica Jones, you can like binge watch it and get done with it in like a day or so. That's the way it's meant to be consumed. But like this show, it's so slow, so slow.
I felt like it was a job. I felt like I should be getting paid.
It's true.
And it just breaks my heart because Scott Buck was one of the guys who worked on and wrote The Oblongs, which is one of my favorite animated TV shows. And it just seems like everything he's touched in the Marvel universe has just been terrible.
Freaking horrible. And like, man, like, it's so disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if they would have cut this down to like 8 episodes, it could have worked better. I wanted more of him training in his, I forget the place he grew up or whatever, where he got
Kunlun.
Yeah, I wanted to see that. I wanted to know how he, was there, and you never see that. It just drives me crazy.
One thing that gets me is like I thought this was gonna be like the most mystical show, and like it doesn't do that at all. Like it never has anything like cool and magical,
And I also think that Iron Fist was horribly miscast. I mean, I don't think necessarily had to go with a Asian actor, even though I think that would have been a smart idea. But the actor they got, I mean, it's like, oh, he was in Game of Thrones. Of course he'll be good. Whatever. And he just did not work. He was just came across as whiny.
Then we get the Defenders later in the year, and that's a really disappointing show. It's a few episodes, and like the villains again are the Damn Hand, which I can't stand anymore. I don't want to see anything more Damn Hand. And then they introduce these characters, and they kill them off, and it just feels like they kind of run around in circles. And there's good moments in here. I do like how Luke Cage is characterized and like talking down to Iron Fist, and how Jessica and Daredevil have the chemistry together. But it's just a weak show again. Jake, do you agree?
Oh God, yes, I definitely just want to give the finger to the hand at this point.
Yeah.
They need to away. Women and humans, they need to go to some island and just you can forget about them in peace.
Did you watch Defenders, James?
Yes, I did.
And
sorry,
well, I don't know. It just it shouldn't be that hard to write. It shouldn't be that difficult, but it is. It's just I don't know how they messed it up.
Yeah, they could have went with Heroes for Hire or something.
Yeah, like I think the thing that like ruined it was the fact that it was basically a sequel to Luke Cage. Oh, not Luke Cage, but it was basically an Iron Fist sequel.
This podcast is brought to you by 3D Wiggle. 3D Wiggle provides software that lets you convert your 3D images into 3D GIFs and or movies that you can easily share on Facebook or Twitter. We have a 20% off coupon in the link in the description, and we also have deals from Amazon, and we also have a Patreon. So please click in the description to get more info.
Yeah, you know, it was like it's not a standalone story. It's one that requires you to have knowledge of like Daredevil, kind of, and then Iron Fist. It really has nothing to do with Luke Cage or Jessica Jones. Like, I don't know. Like, it would have been much cooler if the premise was like, okay, well, the Avengers are the thing. Well, let's make our own team. You know, like that would have been a lot cooler. And maybe even have S.H.I.E.L.D. involved in it, you know? Like, S.H.I.E.L.D. wants to kind of create, like, a street-level team, and maybe you'll have, like, a Coulson cameo or something. Like, it could have been really cool, and it could have, like, connected to the larger universe, but no, you just get, you know, explosives and collapsing buildings on Daredevil. That's
a dragon. That's
oh, yeah.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Alright, so
yeah, that was dumb.
The ABC tries to release in IMAX theaters the Inhumans, and as a two-part, or it's a 2 episodes in one, and it was filmed in IMAX, and it's a massive flop. I think it had like 6-7 episodes, and that was it. And I don't think it's going to be renewed. And
no.
I have not watched it. I've heard horrible things, though. Did anyone actually watch this?
Yes.
Oh.
Was it good?
No. Not one redeeming factor. I watched this because I was such a fan of Jack Kirby's Inhumans, and I had to see what I was just hoping against hope that Scott Buck got his crap together and finally pulled it out. And no, he didn't. In fact, if anything, this is actually worse than Iron Fist.
Really?
Yeah.
What's so bad about it?
It is cliched. It goes nowhere. It is so super cheap. It has no vision. It just exists because it's mandated. Obviously, not a single person working on this has any love or familiarity with the source material.
And you know, this
is cheap on every level, and the scripts feel like the first drafts turned out in the weekend.
You know, I think this is the only time I will say this. I personally believe that Marvel, Disney should step forward and say that this never happened, like as far as canon-wise, because I hope that this does not deter them from ever making an Inhumans, you know, something. Like this is really the Black Bolt we get. Like, this is the storyline we get. Like, the Inhumans are huge characters in the Marvel comics. Like, Black Bolt and, like, all those guys. They're huge. They're really, really big characters. Like, please don't let this be the end, you know? Like, just do it an Incredible Hulk, but with this. You know? Recast everyone. Say that the events barely happened. You know?
Yeah. Just remember, it was announced as a movie.
Yes, this was okay. This will make you mad. Okay, so I don't know if you knew this. Do you know why this was made into a show instead of a movie?
No.
Okay, well, the showrunner and the movie runner hate each other. They have for some reason, Marvel thought it was a good idea to have separate runners for like both like concepts. Like, they have a showrunner and they have a movie runner. Well, the showrunner and the movie runner freaking hate each other, and so one thing the movie runner did to like spite the showrunner was, okay, so he was like, okay, well, we won't make an Inhumans movie. And it's like, what? We won't make an Inhumans movie? Well, I'll make an Inhumans show and make it 10 times better. And then that's this result. It was rushed. It was made in response to this feud that is going on between the two of them. It's retarded. Do you know about that? Do you know that like they hate each other for no apparent reason, and like they spite each other by making the films and movies not the films and the TV series not connect. That's how they spite each other. So basically, they punish us for their stupid rivalry. It's retarded.
This is Ike Fetterman's crap.
Yep. It was his work. He made this in spite of the movie runner was like, we can't make it in phase 3, but maybe we can make it in phase 4. No, I want to make it in the TV show and we'll make it good. Terrible.
Oh, it's easily the worst thing that Marvel's ever put out.
Can we all agree? Can we all agree that Marvel should just retcon this out of existence? Like say that one of the effects of the Infinity Gauntlet being used is that this show never happened.
Now, Jake, the Inhumans plotline in S.H.I.E.L.D., was that at all touched in the Inhumans TV show, or they just ignored it altogether?
Ignored it altogether.
Lame.
It was completely in its own thing. They don't mention anything. Nobody on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is mentioned or crosses over. They're on the island of Hawaii, and you can't tell a difference between the episodes shot with IMAX cameras and regular television cameras. They even wasted that opportunity. I mean, it is
a waste of time.
Oh yeah, and then like Trigon, they have him die off because the makeup is too expensive. Medusa, they shave her head because then they don't have to have her money for the hair effect.
That's retarded.
Disappear for a long time. So you don't have to see his horse legs. They don't want to spend the money on the makeup. This makes Tommy Wiseau's The Room look absolutely Shakespearean.
Okay.
It's that bad?
Yes, it's that bad. It is so cliched. It makes Iron Fist look like a real show.
Whew. All right, let's go back to the movies and Spider-Man: Homecoming. Now, this is a weird one because it's a Sony collaboration, and they mess up the timeline to begin with. But overall, it's a very fun movie, and they get the character right. They don't screw up like they did with Amazing Spider-Man. And it works. Jake, what are your thoughts?
Oh, this is a great movie. This is by far my favorite Spider-Man film of all time.
Yeah, I like I felt that they did a good job with the Vulture. They could have made him really cliche, and they could have, I think that this is one example where the villain isn't, terrible.
Okay.
Well, I thought he knocked it out with being the Vulture. He really played on his whole Birdman thing and just kind of used that as a jumping off point, which was really smart.
Yeah.
All right, so Thor Ragnarok, which James loves and I think is great. Jake, what are your thoughts on Thor Ragnarok?
Oh, I loved Taika Waititi movies, so I went into this and it lived up to everything I expected. And it was so groovy to see my Third Eye posters actually come to life on the big screen.
And
oh, what a ride!
Yeah, Thor Ragnarok hit it out of the park, and easily the best Thor movie. It's just so much fun.
Yeah, and I do like how Hulk's in it.
Yeah.
And the one thing I kind of like is that we get a Hulk that talks and things, which is kind of unique to this film, and I hope happens later in the films. Like we get a Hulk with his own personality and things, which is very much like the comics.
Now we get to this year, 2018, Black Panther. James hates this. I love it. Jake, what are your thoughts on Black Panther? Did you watch it yet?
Oh, yeah, this is great. I was a little disappointed in the 3D, but it was kind of like, it was just to me underwhelming. But a part of that could be because the 3D was so great in Thor Ragnarok. But I liked this a lot. This was a smart movie. It was really smart because we'd already been introduced to Black Panther. So instead of, they let his kind of supporting cast shine, which was a brilliant move.
Yeah,
you still hate it?
Yeah, I don't really like it, but that's just because I don't know why, but it felt really boring. At least like the first half of the movie, and I don't know why they rewrote Claw so he's like this maniac. Like if you compare Claw like in Avengers 2 and like Claw in this movie, it's like what happened? Like, why did he just go off the deep end at the beginning of this movie and not, like... Because, I mean, I think he made, like, one joke in Avengers Age of Ultron and then, like, got his arm chopped off. I'm not sure, like, why he's a maniac in this one. That was something that's kind of strange. Another thing I didn't like about this film is, like... It just, I don't know, it just feels really dry to me and, like, doesn't connect to much. Like, the whole, like, beginning and, like, first half. One of my friends fell asleep, and, like, when he woke up, he was like, is the film over yet? And he was mad when I told him that, like, he had been sleeping so long. So I went with a group to see this movie, and just they hated it. So I'm not even like, I don't hate it as much as them, but they were like bad. So I don't know.
Jake, do you have anything else to add before we go back to some of the other TV shows?
I mean, I really thought Ryan Coogler did a really good job on this. It kind of cured the villain problem that Marvel had been having. It's a pity they killed him off, but story-wise, I understood why they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So let's go back to TV, and we got Punisher TV show. Did you guys see this?
Yes.
James?
No, actually.
Okay. For me, I think Punisher was pretty boring for the middle chunk. It was interesting to start off with, and then slow, and then the last few episodes really put it up in overdrive. And it ends well. I just think the middle is super slow. Jake, what are your thoughts?
I was hyped for this because after seeing him in season 2 of Daredevil, I couldn't wait for this. I really thought they knocked this out of the park. I blew through this one. I watched this nonstop. I was really impressed. Being a military brat who grew up with vets and military issues, they really nailed it.
You have some good stuff with PTSD and counseling and talking about how it's harder for some people for military to go back to the civilian life.
The Jigsaw was interesting too.
What was that?
The Jigsaw, really setting up the future of Jigsaw, was really interesting.
Now, you didn't think the middle episodes were kind of boring, and the whole thing with government, and I just didn't care for any of the Homeland Security stuff.
Slowed down enough for me to catch a breath. So I guess because I watch a lot of stuff and a lot of genres, when action movies slow down, it doesn't really bother me that much. But that's just me. So I didn't. So personally, I noticed it slowing, but it just gave me time to catch my breath.
Now, James, have you seen Jessica Jones season 2 or no?
No, actually, and that just released. That's actually the most recent thing out of the MCU. Just released, I think, last month. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Mm.
Jake, have you seen it?
Yes.
Okay. I really like it, but again, it's kind of slow. There's a whole plot with the mother, and I think it's pretty good, but not great. And for me, I kind of feel like without having a main villain of Kilgrave, it really kind of just doesn't have that much going on. Kind of is rudderless.
Yeah.
I liked this a lot. It was not. It was. I tell people this is not a superhero season. This isn't. This is about PTSD and internal struggles. They're fighting themselves in essence.
Yeah, but I mean, I
the storyline with Jerry is amazing because you get sucked into it just like she did, and it's devastating. I mean, she's such a smart character, and she falls for this, and an audience falls for it too. And then when she finds out she's been ripped off people, it's absolutely devastating.
So, I don't know.
And it's because we're definitely gonna get Hellcat.
Yeah. I don't know. I liked it, but I didn't like it as much as the first season. It just, I don't know. There's a whole plot story with Jerry that I thought kind of went nowhere. Like, okay, I get it, they're keeping together. For me, I just don't care.
My criticism of the fact that it's like,
I guess he's
being a superhero show. So, you know what I mean?
James?
I said, I think the first season did a really good job of being its own thing while also being like a superhero show and having a good antagonist. And so, without that, I don't know. They really should have just said, "Oh, Kilgrave, he's alive." I don't care if that sounds stupid or whatever. Like, you can do that. Realistically speaking, like, say that he somehow survived or he was brought back, or maybe maybe one of his powers is actually not only controlling people, but like there's a remnant of himself that he transfers into people. And so, like, he comes back through basically body swapping or something.
There's one episode with Kilgrave that I thought was fantastic. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Yeah. His origin, when he was, like, locked in the thing, was the best one.
Well, no, in season 2, I mean.
Oh, he was in season 2? In a flashback?
Yeah. No, he's in,
one episode.
Jessica starts really falling apart. She starts seeing Kilgrave.
Oh man, like I wish he'd come back.
And then there's one flashback episode of her when she was like right after high school, college years, and I really like that episode too. You know what I'm talking about, Jay?
Yeah. I also noticed how much they changed Jessica Jones from what Bendis wrote. So I'm wondering how much that has to do with Bendis leaving Marvel for DC.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they really changed some of it's been better, but not all of it.
Okay. So there's other TV shows here that I haven't seen. I don't know if they're really part of the MCU, but The Runaways and Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger hasn't come out yet. I saw The Runaways. The Runaways has moments of greatness, but it's slow. I mean, they don't even run away until the last episode. It's like a prequel to the comics almost.
Do they connect with the MCU or not really?
Not really. They mentioned some things, but it's so vague. But they were smart making it a prequel. They focused on the parents and they cast the parents really well. So we get more of their story we know more about why they're criminals, things that we never found out in the comics. So we understand more of it's for. But the thing is, this is supposed to be a kid's show, and for teenagers, and it focuses on the parents. So I know most people I know were really frustrated with that. I mean, but being an old fart myself, I was like, this didn't bother me.
Okay.
Because I can relate more to older characters anyway.
All right. So
I mean, it's worth checking out. It is worth checking.
So we're about 2 weeks away from Avengers: Infinity War, and I'm really excited. Are you all excited for it?
Oh, I am pumped. I have no idea how I'm going to get a ticket, but I'm pumped.
Oh, you haven't bought one yet?
Nope. Man, I had to. All the ones were sold out for Thursday, Friday. I had to buy mine on Saturday. So yeah.
All right, so we can't record until Saturday or Sunday. That's good to know. But yeah, I got my ticket for Thursday night, and I got an IMAX 3D, so I'm really excited for that. But yeah, it's so far this one has the most pre-orders in the last 7 MCU movies combined. So the hype is real. It's going to be crazy. And a lot of the people behind it have been really mentioning that there's consequences, there's deaths, people need to be prepared for it. And, I'm fine with it.
Please don't be like Civil War and say, oh yeah, people are going to die and things like, and then no one dies. Like, this better have death in it.
And impactful deaths that are not
yes,
just token.
And also literally death. I want literally death to appear in this film, and I want her to be there, and I want Thanos to be like, I just destroyed the planet, do you like me now? Like, I still hope that's the storyline, because do you know that the original Infinity War, like, he's basically doing all this stuff to impress the physical embodiment of death.
Yeah, I know. Somehow I think Hela was who they were. I don't see Hela being in
this movie.
Infinity War.
2 different characters, but
2 different characters though.
In the Marvel, in the comics, yeah, most definitely. But I think she's supposed to be Death in the MCU.
We'll see.
Huh. We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to mention? This is pretty long, almost 2-hour long podcast. So.
Well, we had to get through all the MCU, so
it's pretty incredible. 10 years for the most part, all enjoyable content. There's lesser stuff, but
Inhumans.
Luke Cage.
That's enjoyable.
But Defenders. There is some stuff, but I mean, all in all, I don't really have major, I guess, hatred for anything. I think I really dislike Luke Cage because it's so slow, but I don't feel angry that I watched it. It's not like, as bad as the worst, movies. It's not like X3 or something really Superman 4, that kind of atrociously bad. Jake,
final thoughts? Yeah, cinematically, it's been a great ride. I mean, when Iron Man 2 and Thor: Dark World are your worst movies, and they're still very watchable. Heck, they're rewatchable. You're on the right path.
Yeah.
Just stay away from stuff like the Inhumans.
Yeah. Yeah. We're hoping that that's retconned out. We're hoping, because I really don't want, like, we can never do another Inhuman story because they ruined it.
Oh, in my mind, I've already had that when Doctor Strange was messing with the Time Stone.
Yeah. but so.
Now, I'm still hoping that somehow there's going to be someone from the Netflix shows in this movie, Avengers. It's infuriating how they don't connect that dot. You know, I would.
Yeah, and it's because of the rivalry. It's
I know.
because of that.
It's
It's
just
because
stupid.
it's stupid, and I wish that they just walk over to each other's house and have a fist fight and like just get it over with instead of like doing this passive aggressive. Oh yeah, we're gonna make this non-canon, not connect. Like, that's the most stupid way to like get back at each other. Like, just
a lot of
hate
the
it.
movie appears to be New York. And, they have Doctor Strange, they have Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Harlem is not that far away, for
Yeah.
Cage. And, I don't see why Luke Cage and Jessica couldn't be, helping with crowd control or helping, ground level stuff here and there. I understand Daredevil is, sick after Defenders.
Yeah.
And I don't care about Iron Fist being in there, but they could at least have him there, have a line like, I'm going to help over here,
Yeah.
thing, and I
At least have them mentioned.
yeah, and I'm dying to see, Coulson come back and have, Quake in there with fighting, that would be awesome. I want to see Quake fighting with the rest of the Avengers. She is awesome.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. They said that at some point the films and the shows will cross over. It's just like, why not now? Why not?
Yeah.
It's realistically speaking, if you have show characters in the Avengers 3 or 4, it's not like it's going to make any less money. So don't make that argument that it's not going to make it's going to make less money because people will be confused. People will buy this movie whether it has show characters or not. It's going to make a lot of money. It's a stupid argument of saying, oh well, the audience won't understand it, so it won't make money. Like, that's just a retarded argument. It's dumb.
Yeah, they could easily say, "Hey, that's Luke Cage. Nice to meet you. I can fight,
exactly.
and that's it."
Okay,
you don't
like
need that much.
because I mean, okay, Ultron and all these other characters, Quicksilver and Scarlet, they just appear. You don't get any explanation. They're just there. So don't make the argument the audience will be confused. Just dumb.
Now, originally, Avengers: Infinity War was 2 parts. Now, that's going to be interesting to see how that actually plays out because it's no longer 2 parts, right? But there's going to be another one in like 2 years, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's not going to be 2 parts, but the thing is, it's going to have only in name only.
What was that, James?
I said they're only not 2 parts in name only. It's basically like, I don't care if you say, oh, they feel like different films. Well, they're still connected, though. They still happen right after each other. And Thanos is still the bad guy in both films. So,
They did say Chris Evans, his last time being Captain America will be in Avengers 4. So we'll see how that works out. I think some semi-leaked, set photos have said that it's kind of like a time travel movie or something, where they kind of fix things. I don't know.
I don't know.
Now, what do you think is going to be the post-credits, and how many post-credit scenes do you think this will have?
I think I'm going to make a prediction. I think that Infinity War will have at least one post-credit scene that ties into Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I think that's pretty 100%.
Yeah, and okay, the theory that has been going around is that Captain Marvel takes place in the 90s, right? Well, at the end of this film, Thanos goes back in time. Okay, this is a Reddit theory, so don't take it seriously. But the theory goes, Thanos travels back in time because one of the stones, he gets all 5 except for one, which is the Soul Stone. For some reason, Captain Marvel has the Soul Stone, and it's back in time. Like, he can't get it in the present. So he goes back in time to get it, and so that's why Captain Marvel takes place in the 90s. And, like, Thanos will be in Captain Marvel because he travels back in time. So, I don't know, but we will see. And we will also see a young Ronan the Accuser, so we have to look forward to that.
Now, I think they said that they were not planning to have X-Men be in Avengers 4. Now, obviously it's done, so they can't do anything to this one. But I'm curious to see if they rewrite things or, make that maybe as the post-credit scene that you see Wolverine wake up or something, and a new Wolverine, and, it's like, what's going on? And, the universe has been screwed up, and now the X-Men are here or something. That could be kind of a way they could reintroduce, or maybe have, like, Fantastic Four, have them pop back in and be like, where have you been? And it's like, we're in another dimension. I don't even know what's happening. I think, and then that's how they come back. Maybe they went up to space, got their powers, and then went to another dimension, and then popped back in. That's how you explain Fantastic Four coming back, and boom. They didn't know they were gone for 20 years. Something like that could work to get Fantastic Four back in. Because I do want a good Fantastic Four movie eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's that the best Johnny Storm is Bill Murray from the Canadian radio play.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we have Ant-Man
And
the Wasp.
He wasn't that great.
So we have Ant-Man the Wasp coming in July. So that's going to be interesting. Is that going to be after this or before? Or how do they explain that? I don't know.
Yeah. I think the timeline's going to be like the first Ant-Man. It's going to be part before and part after.
And then Venom, and then we have the Spider-Verse, the animated movie.
Yes. Then the Venom movie.
So, we shall see. I think that's a good way to wrap up this super long, super-sized, marvelous episode. Alright. Thanks for listening. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Alright, so that's going to be it for this podcast.
We now have a Patreon, and the link is in the description. Thanks for watching.
And we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, little bit everywhere. Just look for us 3D or 2D. And of course, review us on iTunes. And if you want to write us a letter, our email address is email3dortwo2d@gmail.com. So that's going to be it. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Alright, before this podcast ends, I want to give a thank you to my patrons. Right now, we have one patron, which is David from Spain, and I want to thank you for your financial support to help making this possible. If you want your name to be called out and your location, please become a patron on Patreon. Our link should be in the description, or just look for us, 3D or 2D, on Patreon, and you get plenty of benefits. So again, thank you, David from Spain, and I hope to have many more Patreon patrons with us soon. Thanks again, David. Bye.